Hello and welcome to Classy Handmade. Today is April 18th and I'm here to talk about the challenge that is hosted by Priscilla of Distinctive Crochet. And the challenge is make scrap yarn. And I'm here to show you what I'm doing for that challenge. So here is I started my challenge and I am making a moss stitch blanket. I will be showing you what I'm doing and how I am making my make scrap yarn. So here we go. So here I have my working piece that I'm working on. And what I'm doing, when I started my blanket, I have a big ball of scrap yarn that I have caked up. I think they call it a magic ball, or so I made my scrap yarn. So what I did, I made my scrap yarn. Then I take the yarn and I use a 6mm hook and I just chain the entire ball of yarn and I start my blanket. So after I did that, when that ball ran out, I connect another ball and I chain. So here is my chain. Sorry guys, I'm all mixed up. So here is my ball of yarn that I'm working with. So I attach it to the previous ball that I was working on before I complete. And what I do, I make my chain. And when I finish making my chain, I use a 10mm hook, okay? And what I do is I'm doing a moss stitch blanket. So I already make my yarn, so the chain is making my yarn. And then I just use a bigger hook, and I just do the stitches for my blanket. Sometimes I do an entire ball. If I have a big ball, I just chain until the ball is finished. Sometimes I just chain, and when I get to that, I'll show you here. So all I'm doing is chaining one and skipping. So when my chain that I made, say I made a rope, let's call it a rope. And then when my rope of chain is finished, I will take my 6mm hook so right now I'm using my 10mm hook, and I tell you the truth, this is a clever idea that she came up with. So if you're not already joining into this challenge, join into this challenge. Join this challenge that Priscilla is having. So you see, my chain that my rope of chain that I did is coming to an end. So what I'll do, I'll take the needle out and I'll take my 6mm hook and I'll make some more chain. I'll make some more chain. You could make your chain however long you want. If you want, you could just sit down and chain the entire ball of scrap yarn. If you have different weight of yarn, you know, you just double up or whatever to make the size. So you can use all your scrap. So if you're using like I'm using a worsted number 4, most of my scrap are worsted number 4. in this bag here, I have some number 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to double it up and make yarn. So I continue to make my chain and making my scrap yarn. And I tell you guys, I'm enjoying this. I like it. It's knitting up fast. And I'm also using the moss stitch for mine. You could use whatever stitch you like, but you could also use the moss stitch. So I made chains, and then I'm going to put my needle back in my big hook, and I'm going to continue in my pattern of my blanket. Okay, and when I get to the end, I'll chain 2 and turn. So I'll leave Priscilla's YouTube channel in the description box, so you can check her out and join us with this challenge. And this blanket, guys, that I'm making is like a weight. If you want to make a weighted blanket, this is the best way you can do it to make a very heavy blanket. The texture is beautiful, you can see. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and join us in the Make Scrap Yarn Challenge.